Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Dinnerhe as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we've got ourselves a track on the screen off of Laufey's, or Laufey's, should I say. I remember that there's a pronunciation to it. Laufey's album released on August 22nd, 2025, titled A Matter of Time. The song is titled Lover Girl, and we're going to listen through it from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. Immediately charming. We'll get some lyrics on there, eh?
The skyscrapers causing vertigo. The countdown begins in Tokyo. 27 days alone means 20 million ways to cope without you. I'm in a reckless fever, love-struck girl, I tease her. Thought I'd never be her. Quite the job you've done on me, sir. You've been hosting parties. In my mind I'm working overtime to have you in my world.
I like how the lines she sing go over top of the transitions between bars. Great break with the claps as well.
Forced to get creative, wrote my feelings down. The independent lady in me's nowhere to be found. I can't wait another day to see you. How embarrassing to be this way. I'm in a reckless fever, love-struck girl, I tease her. Thought I'd never be her. Quite the job you've done on me, sir. You've been hosting parties. In my mind I'm working overtime to have you in my world.
Is there a polyrhythm going on there?
Curse it is to be in love. I wait by
Like a mixture of triplets or compound?
Dream at the shows, you'll come running to me. Think I see you in the wings, but I'm hallucinating. What a reckless fever, love-struck girl, I tease her. Thought I'd never be her. Quite the job you've done on me, sir. You've been hosting parties. In my mind I'm working overtime. You've become my whole world. Oh, what a curse it is to be a lover girl.
It's exquisite. 40 million plays ain't bad on an album that's, 3 days old. Granted, these might have been tracks that have been around a little while. I don't know, but either way, look, we're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Laufey off of the album A Matter of Time, released most recently. I shall go back here, just so you guys can have the art on the screen there. It's pretty, it's nice to have the Laufey with the clock. This track titled Lover Girl, off of the album A Matter of Time, should I say. So I feel a little bit out of practice. So first of all, thanks to Dinnerhe for recommending this track. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a fantastic song. It's a great reintroduction to Laufey's work. I haven't listened to her in a little while. I've been taking almost a month, I suppose, off of a lot of the reviews I've been doing, aside from some of the Fiverr stuff. But it's just, what is this track about? I think that this track is about someone, specifically Laufey, someone's basically is rent-free inside her head. They're having parties inside her head, and she's doing everything she can to try and make it work. But there's just the thought in her head that I think that it's just he's taking advantage of her. Whoever it is taking advantage of her, and it's just not. She's just that lover girl on the side. That she's just kind of struggling with that distance, being in maybe the side piece or something like that. It's a brutal situation that they're in. But I feel, as ever, the way that Laufey communicates with the audience is incredibly classy. Laufey is a phenomenal vocalist with exquisite head and chest voice there. The vibratos, the legato technique over certain notes, the jazzy influences come in really neatly there. It's just a phenomenal display of vocal prowess. and it's effortless. Like, you can tell that it's not even an inch of what Laufey is capable of. And I sound like I'm simping, but I'm not. I'm just genuinely impressed. It's partly because of how considerate Laufey, not considerate. Well, to be fair, she's considerate of what the song requires, but how consistent Laufey is. There's never a moment where you kind of doubt listening to Laufey, her quality of what they put out. It's just tremendous music all around. I'm really stoked, and I genuinely feel at this point that they're probably one of my favorite mainstream artists. You know, they have really succeeded at bringing this kind of music into the mainstream, and I feel like there was a niche that has been filled really neatly here. So, it's just so. But I think what kind of meters it from becoming a little bit too kind of like soppy and sad is that there's always this kind of warmth and within the melancholy. It's kind of a quirky kind of approach to it, but it allows for a connection to the extensions within the chord progressions. There are things within this track instrumentally that I think adhere to the feelings or the things that are discussed here, such as the string sections and how they waft in the interlude sections, talking about like an old-time movie or something like that. It's just there's a lot of romanticism within it. Don't get me wrong, the entire thing isn't melancholic by any means, but it's just her vocal. It's like it's not neutral, but it's wide enough and flexible enough to be able to do whatever they want with. And I'm just tremendously happy with how they approach things. I think it's just really great music. And so I've got no complaints about the vocal performance. The track itself at 2 minutes 44 is wonderfully short. It's wonderfully brief, not because I didn't want to hear more of it, but simply because I feel like it goes in now at the appropriate time. You've got no filler in here. There's variation within the instrumental performance. Like, I especially like the little moments where they kind of do little claps there, and you have verses and choruses and an interlude section, I think. That's really all you need structurally to make a track that pops off. And a lot of the tracks within this album are that length. And I think despite the technical proficiency of everyone involved within this performance, you can tell they can all play their instruments very well. And Laufey can certainly sing very well. You don't need more than that. You've got everything you need within this piece. It's fantastic. And so to talk more about the instrumental components of it, I think the guitars, for example, have this wonderful fingerstyle sort of flamenco, not flamenco, but from that part of the world, like the South American kind of like flow to it. They're kind of with the nylons. It's just a really kind of like organic tone to it that fleshes out the extensions and the bass notes really neatly throughout. I like the use of rim shots and kick patterns on the drum kit. I think they're a mixture of different kicks and snares. A bossa nova comes to mind for some reason, though I don't think that I might be wrong about that. It's definitely a dance groove of some kind, and I really need to study up on my dance grooves to kind of propel that. But there was also some interesting sort of polyrhythmic stuff going on with the percussion in terms of when in relation to like the main grooves. So like three in groups of three, with one dun 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 dun, and it continued through bars. It was just wonderful how we managed to sort of have those different directions rhythmically follow through on different instruments, but still niche together really elegantly. It's just, again, it's proficiency from a compositional but also performance perspective. I think the dreaminess of the strings is palpable here. They're tremendously beautiful. It's such a wonderful display of harmonies within the string section here that elevate that midsection really neatly, and I just love the tone of them. I love the dynamic range of the performance. I love how they're bowed. I love how they feature on the sides of the stereo field. I just love how there is space for everything within the composition as well, and it's never overwhelming. I also think there is a double bass or stand-up bass in there on the low end that is wonderfully kind of positioned there. You know, it just walks itself through proceedings in a way which is kind of like it's assertive, but never too on the nose. And that's partly due to the production, but it's also due to the way that there's polish all around. They enhance with triads and root notes, but never to a point where they're too colorful, and I think they know their position well. And going back to the strings, so I'm just listening to the track to kind of like back up certain proceedings. There are these wonderful string flutters in certain parts of the track where there is variation enough harmonically or compositionally to be engaging throughout. I like how when the vocals build in certain parts, the strings do too. There's an understanding that they need to work together and have that connection. I don't know what that that could be flutes or something like that. That kind of woodwind instrument there is so pretty, and it's staccatoed in a way where it kind of pops off in the mix there, and it's a nice contrast to the flowing textures of the strings. I just like how in the upper range there goes a bit higher than Laufey is, but it just the frequency spectrum is filled. And there's some other sort of like mallet percussion in there, I think, occasionally, which just has a nice sort of like percussive kind of touch to it there. You have some elements which are held and some parts which are more shorter, and you just get this kind of to and fro constantly as things kind of develop throughout the piece. And it's just wonderful. And so you've got all these different rhythms communicated across the various instruments there. You have just fantastic sort of like character and color to the composition, and ultimately just a really satisfying arrangement and performance, with a theme overall almost kind of like sounding like you're dancing through the decisions you're having to make with this. It's like Laufey is in constant movement even though they feel stuck. They're kind of trying to grip to something. It's an interesting juxtaposition between some of the severity that's being discussed, where I think a lot of music would be more intense than this with the subject matter, but I feel like that's just a little bit too obvious here, and Laufey is trying to sort of like provide a contrast and an opposite to it to kind of make it more intriguing or more kind of easy to listen to. And the sweetness and how it's soothing it is mellows out the overall tone of the piece and makes it again very easy to listen to. And the part where it goes, those little clappy bits there is just the icing on the cake there, the little ways to break it up near the end and in other sort of quiet parts, illustrating further dynamic range and ultimately making for a more more kind of interesting song. I don't know how else to say that this is really well sort of like constructed and formulated without it seeming like it's completely on purpose, because it's still a relatively authentic, organic performance there. You can just tell they all know what they're doing. And so I think production-wise, it's simply at that stage trying to capture a wonderful performance, and they did that here in spades. It's just honestly, like the way that the vocals were handled, the way that guitars, bass, drums, melodic percussion, the flutes, the strings, etc., were done was just incredible. It sounds like it was all room mic'd. It sounded like they were in the same room kind of playing together. It didn't seem overproduced. Laufey's vocals are just incredible. They don't need to be like fixed in post. They can just sing really well. It sounds live as it does in the studio. You've just got all the components here for a wonderful piece, which does not need that much polish. It's just really great within the foundations here. It's just making sure things are panned effectively, which they are in a mix. It's making sure there's no weird sort of resonant frequencies within the frequency spectrum. It's making sure things are still nice and low without pumping, but not too much, because it's not like a grindcore track, you know. You just need it to be loud enough for it to sound commercial grade, and they handle that here. And ultimately, I just think it's damn near flawless. So thank you for watching my review of this track from an act named Laufey, titled Love a Girl, off of the Matter of Time album. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and their Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands out.